When I got this projector and read the specifications, I had a good laugh at the 6,000 ANSI lumens they listed, because Chinese marketing knows no bounds when it comes to numbers. Then I took out my instrument, started the measurement, and my smile turned into surprise. But not because the 6,000 lumens turned out to be true. Well, here's the projector whose review I had planned for the end of last year, but it got delayed. It would have been a nice way to round off the year, because this projector has the highest brightness among the LCD projectors I've tested. And I think in general it has the highest brightness. I haven't seen one with a higher brightness yet. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything about it because I've checked the image quality, the sound quality, the cooling fan noise, I've checked the actual brightness, and of course I've also tested the software. So let's dive in. I don't want to talk too much about the unboxing since we get a projector, a remote control, a cable, nothing else, and nothing else is needed. The remote control is the only significant accessory and it looks like this. Actually, there's no major problem with the remote. It fits well in the hand, the buttons are good. What you can notice is that there are no dedicated buttons for streaming services, and unfortunately, there's a reason for that. We can move on to what the device looks like from the outside. Well, I wouldn't say it's beautiful, but it's not ugly either. The choice of materials is good, the build quality is good. This fabric cover on the front looks particularly good. Well, this Everycom logo on it is forgettable, but other than that, I don't think there are any other problems. What's noticeable is that there are vents all around the device here, on the back, and on the other side as well, and there's a reason for that. The back is again not too special as it has an Ethernet port, an HDMI port, a USB port, a power button, the power cable connector, and that's about it, nothing else. Regarding the exterior, I have only one complaint, and it's on the bottom. Because as you can see, there is only a single screw thread here for mounting the projector. This means that with this standard thread, it can be put on a tripod, but due to the projector's weight, I wouldn't dare to rely on this single thread. So in your place, I wouldn't put it on a tripod, but rather place it on a shelf, because it will definitely be able to support it there. Now we can move on to what the device can do. And actually, I don't want to talk too much about it. It has a completely standard Android. And of course, the brightness, which is also important as it turned out, is not 6,000 but 3,200 ANSI, which is the factory value, although it's not certain that's true either, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So the projector itself contains a completely plain Android. It has pre-installed programs. There are also pre-installed streaming programs, but unfortunately the projector doesn't have Widevine L1 certification, so many streaming services can only be viewed in SD on it, and in my opinion that's a pretty big problem. An Android TV system would have been great, but it doesn't have one. In return, however, we get a lot of software that we can install, so the Android store is available on it, so from that point of view, there's no problem with it. If I have to mention a weakness with this device, it would be the software. And it's not because the hardware in the projector is weak, because that is actually quite powerful. So you'll be able to run even basic games on it just fine, since we get a relatively large storage, plenty of memory, and a powerful enough processor. So hardware-wise, there's no problem with the device. And the Android that's on it runs absolutely smoothly, perfectly. All right then, let's see what the device can do. And let's start perhaps with the noise level, because, well, it's relatively noisy. I have a sound level meter, which I use to measure the noise of the cooling. I usually measure this from a distance of 1 meter, and now you can see what I measured. Well, as you can see, it's not very quiet. And the problem isn't just the fan's volume, but also that the fan rattles and chirps a little. So it's not a very fine whooshing sound that we hear. And that means you have to turn up the built-in sound system quite a bit to drown out the cooling noise. Unfortunately, this is a necessary evil because, well, this device has a pretty good brightness. Not 6,000 and not 3,200 ANSI, as I said. I bought an instrument with which I can now measure the actual luminous flux or amount of light. The measurement is very simple. I divide the image into 9 equal parts. I check the size of the projected image, which in my case was about 2.5 square meters. In the center of each of the 9 parts, I measure the brightness level. I average this, convert it to lumens, and then to ANSI lumens, and that's how I get the real value that the projector can produce. In lab conditions, they usually measure the light reflected from the screen. However, I don't have lab conditions, nor do I have a screen with which I could measure properly. So I measure the light coming from the projector, and I will be measuring it this way for every single projector test from now on. What result did I get? Well, I got half of the 3200 lumens. So according to my measurement, this device can produce 1600 ANSI lumens. And before you get disappointed, I have to say that 1600 ANSI lumens is a very considerable performance because this is an LCD projector. Not DLP, not laser, LCD. And for LCD projectors, the peak is now between 900 and 1200 ANSI. These are the devices available for 100 to 120,000 forints that currently represent the top tier. You have to look at the 1600 ANSI lumens in comparison to that, which is a brutally high value. And since it's a brutally high value, the LED's power is also brutally high, and this LED needs to be cooled. So it's no wonder that the cooling sound is a bit louder than with average LCD projectors. But what about the sound quality? Well, it's good. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying it's hi-fi, but it doesn't sound bad. It has bass and treble, and it produces a quite tolerable sound. And if you turn it up, it won't crackle, and it perfectly drowns out the sound of the cooling. But listen. Now, that don't feel so good. Jesus Christ. And what about the image quality? Well, actually, for an LCD projector, it's brilliant. And the 1600 ANSI lumens means that if you don't completely darken the room, if a lamp is dimly lit in the corner, you'll still be able to watch movies with the projector. The details don't disappear in dark scenes, and HDR finally makes sense, because with this brightness, the colors are truly brilliant when you turn on HDR mode. It's definitely worth turning on with this machine. So for nature films, action movies, any kind of film with lots of light effects, this projector will be perfect. The hardware inside is also really good, the processor is powerful, there's a lot of memory, a lot of storage, so you can install programs on it. And since the hardware is quite powerful, you can also install games from the Android store, and they will run on it, obviously not the top tier games. You'll be able to play some average little racing games and other things on it. So this machine is also suitable for such tasks. Well, I think I've said everything worth saying. You've seen and heard what the machine can do. On YouTube, in the usual place under the video in the description, you'll find the link where you can buy it, and the coupon code will be there to make it cheaper. If you like this review, you can choose from the other 2 projector reviews appearing next to me. Check those out too. And come back, because next week I'll be back with another review, which I don't know what it will be yet. Until then, be good, take care, subscribe to the channel, and goodbye.